One program that I
Hey, everybody, and welcome. Let me share the camera right now. Thank you so much for being on the live stream, or if you're watching the replay, thanks everybody for being here. Right now, I'd like to just share about 30 minutes of my story, a little bit, my journey, but to answer sort of those 20 things that I sent in an email that you might have seen. Let me bring those up onto my screen and then share that. But I wanted to just share a couple of philosophies or theories about my journey in online business, learning internet marketing, website design. As most of you know, I have a web design business that I started in 1996. And of course, while everything has changed as far as the software and the tools, the hosting, how we as website developers create our products and services in order to sell to the public, there are lots of things that haven't changed at all. And some of those are the way that I approach web design, the way that I feel, no matter what tools that I use, I am in a position where I'm loving things to change and evolve and get better. And so there are a few feelings that I brainstormed and listed out. And as I share my screen right here, let me go over to here and share my screen. In the background, I'm on the elegantthemes.com website, which might hint at one of the tools that I'm going to be sharing about a little bit today, which is Divi, the Divi theme. As well, I'm also sharing about where I am moving in my business towards other tools rather than Divi. Hint, hint. Here is the Bricks design page, or the bricksbuilder.io landing page. But before we go there into builders and different tools, let me just bring up this list a little bit and just talk about a couple of the ways that I feel in my business, that I hope that through this Facebook page and through this YouTube channel and through the Leverage WP community, that I can influence more of my students to be able to have all 20 of these feelings every week, every day inside of your business. So if you're scanning these a little bit, I wonder if I can zoom in just a little bit so that you guys can see a little bit better. So a renewed sense of confidence and pride in your abilities. Now, this number one is something where none of us have this feeling when we start. And when we come into starting a web design business or an online business, especially working with WordPress with all of its options in the open source community, all of the tools and software developed for WordPress, it can be hard, especially at the beginning, or especially as you see new tools coming out and new software coming out. It can be hard to feel a sense of confidence and pride in your abilities as a web designer. And I've been writing about this a little bit in my daily emails to you guys, and I've talked about this a little bit, but having mastery of a particular tool, piece of software like a theme or a page builder inside of WordPress, by practicing and using it often enough, that can give you confidence and pride in your abilities, which act as kind of a snowball rolling down the hill. You make a portfolio site or a site for a friend or a relative. You then say, oh, well, I actually can make a real working website that looks good. And I've done that by leveraging WordPress and leveraging the tools that are at my disposal. But the more you do that, next website job might be for a paying client. And the more you do that and focus on learning a particular segment of software within this open source software environment, the better and more confident that you can get. And that leads to just the having that energy in your business and the way that you reach out with people or respond to referrals or messages about what you do, you can attract a steady stream of clients. Because your revitalized or vitalized skills are very apparent. Recognition and respect from peers within the web design community. If you've been around in the WordPress, or excuse me, in the Facebook groups and offered any kind of an answer for someone's issue that they're having in there, it is really great to hear from people when they're like, oh, I hadn't thought of that, or that's a new tool that I hadn't thought of. So participating in the conversation with others within our industry is something that can really make us feel positive about what we do and about interacting with other people within our industry. So follow the community groups in addition to the Leverage WP Facebook group, the Admin Bar Facebook group, and other WordPress Facebook groups. Like there's a couple of Divi Facebook groups. There's the Bricks Builder Facebook group, and a few others, WordPress WP Beginner and WordPress Hosting Facebook groups. Those are groups that I browse just a little bit every day. And not only do I get something out of reading what people's experiences are and what they are learning and sharing, but I'm also able to plug in and help some others where I'm maybe just a step or two ahead, or I've heard of a tool or a technique that other people haven't. And this right here, number 5, is something that I have come to love and that I discovered super early on in 1996 or so, that it was really, really cool to turn the challenge of creating something visual with words, images, graphics that could be visible out there to the world instantly. Hosting a website that I created is something that still gives me a thrill, even if it's for a client. I love taking a site live and showing off my work out there. Of course, there's support and admiration of friends and family. The thrill of seeing your work come to life on the screen is super fun. And then leading down towards number 10, there's seemingly insurmountable obstacles that pop up in front of us all the time. Now, seemingly insurmountable, with my experience that I've had now and many of the members of the Leverage WP community and everyone that I've taught inside my Udemy course, which to date has somewhere over 80,000 students, have learned from me how to use WordPress and start a WordPress-based business. They come upon obstacles, and sometimes those obstacles seem insurmountable, but the excitement that comes with realizing or finding the answer to some of those obstacles, it proves your strength, it proves your talent, and it proves your passion, not only to others, your client or others out there, but to yourself. And I love the feeling of not being overwhelmed by the constantly evolving world of web design. In fact, I find it super fun to hear about new tools coming out. Often find out about them on YouTube or within the Facebook communities that I'm a member of. And then the next half are things that I'll talk about in maybe the second half of what I'm going to be sharing here today. So with all those, if you've read through numbers 1 through 10, wouldn't it feel good to every day wake up and turn on your computer and start to feel this way as you make websites for clients or as you manage your own online business and your WordPress software and interactive tools to make your online business thrive? And so I'm just going to share a little bit about my tools, talk a little bit of philosophy regarding the evolvement, the changing of the WordPress world and the web design world that happens so fast. And I hope you don't mind, I'm going to offer you to stay till the end and check out a solution that can help you to get these feelings inside of your business without spending too much and without getting that overwhelm when new things come out in front of you. And so many of you know that I have kind of a software stack that I teach and that I use for different purposes within my business. And one of the philosophical ideas that I want to talk about here before I share my screen again and show you guys my different pieces of software and explain what I use them for, there's a philosophy of multiple points of failure that not only lowers your risk as far as if anything were to happen inside of your website and online business projects, but not only does it lower your risk, but it also makes things work better as far as making changes to your hosting, to the, making updates to your websites, moving websites around, migrating between providers. If you keep your resources saved and provided by different providers, there's more than one point of failure. So if one thing goes wrong, everything doesn't go wrong. And so as I look and share my screen a little bit more, there's kind of one thing that sits in the middle of it all for me, and that is my hosting provider. Now, even gridpane.com is a hosting control panel and software stack provider that allows me to split into multiple points of failure in many, many ways. Inside of my GridPane account, if you look at how it works, for example, right down here, what you do with GridPane is you own your own virtual private servers and dedicated servers, and you buy those servers from infrastructure providers. So for example, if I just go to one of the providers that I use, Vultr, at vultr.com, you can see they have a number of different products. But if I were to, let me just quickly log in so I can find this quickly. If I log into my Vultr control panel and then hit the plus button, you can see that, say under cloud compute, I can go to high frequency, a very popular choice for customers of GridPane and other control panels. But as you scroll down, you can choose, a location, use a software stack that GridPane recommends, and then you're presented with some servers and some resource sizes and ratings. And so you can see that for $12, $18, $24 a month, this plan right here is kind of a, really one virtual CPU and 2 gigs of memory is fine for, say, one or just a few websites. But if I were to buy the $24 a month high-frequency Vultr server and install it, 2 virtual CPUs, 4 gigabytes of memory, I am totally fine with hosting 20 to 40 websites on that server. Now, if we look at the pricing here, just looking at the infrastructure price, that really brings my price of each website down to, say, $2, something that the shared website hosting companies are charging at their, buy a year upfront discount. And then they're pushing you up to multiple $5 or $10 a site after that. So once you have access to GridPane, which does have a cost associated with it, you can get servers and you can expand and scale your business very, very rapidly. If you're using WordPress to host websites for others and you're an agency or a freelancer, this is how you grow your recurring revenue fast. But let's get back to multiple points of failure. One thing I have within my GridPane is a number of different servers. Some of these are client servers where they own the entire server because I do resell my GridPane space. Instead of $500 a month, which is the plan I'm on, I take clients on so that they can use use their own server on my GridPane account and the software and the control panel to get their own at more like $200 a month, which is a real discount. But you can see all the servers I have. If I were to look at, say, this Vultr server, that's right down here. If I were to go to sites and then search for the word vulture, it'll show me on this website I have 10, 14, or 15 websites. And I'm just going to pull up because we're going to talk about this site right here that I created just the other day very, very quickly by leveraging my software. But in any case, you could see that I have multiple servers and I can move things around. So if I go to the control panel of a particular site without having the site go down, now that everything is in grid pane and I have different servers deployed in grid pane, I can clone my sites and do a one-click migration or clone them over to either different servers or clone them to a different name on the same server. And also the staging area works very well like this. By having multiple servers, I can then have multiple points if anything were to go down. Now, of course, I don't want anything to go down, and that's why by using grid pane, I also can take advantage of the control panel in the software stack here, which provides me with a lot of different features. So my server-side caching for page caching and object caching is in place. That means that the users don't have to, if a page hasn't changed, they don't have to hit the database and use the resources of my server, PHP workers, and interactive dynamic server energy. It can just load up a pre-saved version of that called the cache. And that's included as a server side. Also recommended to have all this stuff hosted at the server level instead of one level above inside of a WordPress plugin, which really eliminates a lot of the benefits that you get from having things hosted at the server level. Security-wise, you can have all kinds of great security just built in here, so you don't have to have a security plugin. I have backups that are really intelligent backups and restorable backups, both locally and remote. As in addition to the cloning and setting up free SSL certificates so that the site is served on HTTPS and it is served with the little padlock here. This connection is secure. So if you're, say, accepting data like people's phone number or email address through a form, that is sent completely encrypted in both directions so that even if the data is intercepted, it can't be decrypted because it's encrypted using this SSL certificate. All websites should have an SSL certificate in place at all times these days, and it also should be free. Don't subscribe to a domain registrar or a hosting company that's going to charge you anything for an SSL certificate. And let's take a look then. So at the next thing, WordPress and website hosting, but then there's also domain registration and domain DNS services. I highly recommend, as you've seen me teach on in the YouTube channel, in the Facebook group, and inside the paid Leverage WP community membership, use Cloudflare. Cloudflare's website domain registration was recently announced in, I'm not going to go ahead and browse to it on their website, but Cloudflare recently announced that they are offering domain registration without markup. And so if I go to my account here and look at domain registration, say I wanted to register a domain name and 123, do you think Greg Davis 12345.com is available? Probably. Sure. And look at what it costs, $9.15. That is basically less than half of what you'll pay at any other domain registrar, which they mark it up 50%, and that's the way that they make their money. But I also advise you to use Cloudflare for your domain name system or your DNS hosting, and they have a free service for that. Even before I registered domains with Cloudflare, I've pointed those domains to Cloudflare so that I can take advantage of the Cloudflare free level of DNS service. So if I just look at a sample site right here, because Domains are so cheap, I can have greg.com with a 3 for the E inside of my name. But I host the DNS records, which point for my email, for my website. I can point them to different servers if I need to for the staging site that I can create with GridPane. And the DNS is excellent. You can also use Cloudflare's email routing so that without even hosting email, which is a paid service, you can take and send email sent to an address at your custom domain name and forward it to any other email that you own for free automatically using Cloudflare's email routing. And I'll talk about another separated and isolated service that I use separate from my hosting and separate from my domain registrar and domain DNS for email address hosting. But just to finish, Cloudflare's services are also highly secure. They have all already built in, even before the traffic hits your server, and of course before it hits your website database. Cloudflare has automated security like firewalls and rules you can place, but their automated security systems are truly excellent. And they also have their own built-in level of caching, where they're serving versions of your images and your web pages to your visitors all around the world from different server locations close to them and without hitting your database. Again, saving you money within your hosting scenario and within your server resources. So you won't have to upgrade your servers or add more servers as often when you're using Cloudflare in front of your website traffic. Let's talk about email a little bit. As far as another kind of structural non-website technology, it's important, especially if you're making websites and hosting them for clients, but even for your own business, that you have a professional email address or more than one for your business. And so as you could see here, this was at the greg.com, but you could see I have an email address at leveragewp.com, greg@leveragewp.com. Now, this is an actual hosted email address that is hosted here at Rackspace Office. Now, I've used Rackspace for hosted email for many years, probably more than 10 years, almost 15 years for my emails and for client emails. It's highly secure. One great reason that you want to separate email hosting from your website hosting is that by doing that, you again create multiple points of possible failure. I've told this story in classes before, but let me come on to camera and just quickly give you the short version. Early on in my web design career, as I was starting to really leverage the tools that had started to be released with the early versions of WordPress. WordPress I found in 2006, but even before that, I was using hosting that allowed me to resell space with my website host to my clients. And I was using a shared website host, which many of you might start out with, which enabled me to put an unlimited number of sites up for cheap on my website host. But I really didn't know what website server resources I was using, and also within that shared hosting controlled panel, I was able to provide email addresses for my sites and for my clients at the custom domain names. And while that was very convenient, it wasn't a smart way to go, because here's the crux of the story. At one point, I woke up to many emails and calls from clients saying that their websites were down. Looking a little bit further into it, one website out of all the websites I had hosted, maybe 25 websites at the time, all of the websites had gone down because one website owner had an email box that had ultimately filled up to its quota. I had a defined quota of however many megabytes of email storage available inside of the hosting control panel. And once one website got to its quota, the whole server stopped working. And so all of my websites went down. This was an example and probably my first and biggest learning experience where I had one point of failure in that scenario where if one email box filled up, all of the websites went down. And so having a problem with one website had very harshly affected all of my other websites. I then went on a journey to find web hosting that I could leverage, but I would be able to keep my websites isolated from one another. I also learned that it had started to become discussed in the early 2000s that it's a best practice to host email separate from your website hosting. And you might be familiar with Google Workspace. It used to be called Google My Business. Google Workspace is a service that does provide email hosting, really excellent service as well. Both Rackspace and Google Workspace provide you email hosting with a large 25 to 30 gigabyte mailbox. And they also manage their own IP addresses. IP addresses, I should quickly explain, are just the numeric code. They're usually four, 2 or 3 digit, 1, 2 or 3 digit numbers separated by periods that are really the address of your server. If we were to go look at my GridPane server here, you can see that this IP address matches this server right here. And so this IP address, 152.44.43.130, is an IP address. And my point is, Rackspace, Google Workspace, and other email service providers like Amazon SES, Simple Email Service, they preserve the reputation of their IP addresses, and they only use those for outgoing and incoming email services. They don't convolute or confuse them with other IP addresses that you would use for websites. And so when I send an email, for example, if I send an email from leveragewp.com, it's using the Rackspace provided IP address to send and to receive email, not even associated with my website server here. And so it's a different IP address than I would see inside my GridPane account for my leveragewp.com website. And one thing I like about Rackspace Office as well is that it's about half the price of Google Workspace for the same type of services. And so I generally provide this service included in my website care and maintenance plans for my clients. Depending on how many email addresses they need, I'll include 1 or 2 in my $100 a month minimum website care plan. But if they need more than that, they can go ahead and add that, and I won't mark it up. I'll just charge them, $3 a month per email address for anything extra that they might need. Let's look and talk about design a little bit. And this is where I'm going to finish up the live stream and show you kind of an exciting thing that is coming with Divi. But let's talk theory just a little bit. I'll go for probably the next 10 to 15 minutes max in this live stream. But let's look at, first of all, I've been using Divi. As you guys know, the Divi is one of the most popular page builders in the WordPress world, and one of the things I love about it is that you have WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Visual Editor. The Visual Builder has such a great user experience. If you browse here, there's not only all these modules that you can just pull in that are pre-designed and ready to use for different purposes within a page, but you can take entire pages and entire full website packs, including the graphics and the images that are there for you to use royalty-free and copyright-free. There are so many different designs to start from. This is what really saves me time and therefore saves my clients money and makes me more money. But of course, with page builders, there's always the argument, is performance there? And what's happening as the page builders get more and more bloat or extra code, Divi has gone to great lengths to improve the front-end performance of the websites that it puts out, and they're really quite excellent now. But there has been a big argument that the way that Divi and other builders like Elementor and Beaver Builder, etc., the way that they work adds a lot of code, especially to the builder. And so there's something called shortcodes that they look kind of like this. Let me see, let me give it a little space here, and I'll just write a bracket, and I'll say shortcode, and it might have, some options or the name of the shortcode, design video. But this is a code that can be placed or created by a builder kind of on top of the WordPress code itself. And one thing that you'll see is that they can be, here's a Divi designed site, and if I go to the page source, you can see that at times, where I do have proper HTML here with some divs and some spans, etc. I'm not going to see any shortcodes here, but if I look at the back-end code, there would be shortcodes that actually just add to the bloat of the website. Now, there's a trade-off here. Let me just go back to here and talk about the trade-off, since I'm talking about using the pre-designed layouts to save time, and also hosting my website at a super fast, high-frequency server, as well as with a super fast stack of software on the server. I can take advantage of the Divi Visual Builder and use the kind of bloated code for Divi. No problem. My sites load very, very fast. However, there is better out there. And so for me, there's this move, which is kind of exciting, and I'll be teaching more about this as we move forward. Move towards proper semantic HTML, which if you look at the source code here, and this is really the main thing that teachers like Kevin Geary over here, who I'll talk about in a minute, complain about as far as Elementor, Beaver Builder, Divi. They're not exactly designing the code in a way that is best for humans and computers to read it, especially computers and bots, for getting semantically accurate code. And so when you have a div inside of a div inside of another div, before you get the heading, there's the H4, and then another div, and you've got this kind of nested div problem, where instead of just div inside of div inside of div, there's better ways to do it. And I'm not going to go into what's better and why, but I will show you the next step that I'm moving towards for many new builds, but not all new builds. And I'll go into why with just a brief description. Now, there are some semantically accurate builders out there, and some of them, I'm not going to go over every single one. I'm going to just focus in my community and in the groups here and in this live stream just on Bricks just a little bit. Bricks is a builder that is a plugin for WordPress. And it allows you to build in a semantically correct way as far as the HTML code that the builder creates for you on the back end to make your site on the front end. There's a couple of add-ons that I got for Bricks, which make it even easier to conform to the proper way of building. But I would point you towards this series of videos right here. This is Kevin Geary. He's been teaching about Oxygen in the past, which is another builder just like Bricks, but there was kind of a big to-do last year with Oxygen sort of being almost discontinued as far as development, and another builder being made by the same company called Breakdance coming out right alongside of it. In any case, many of us, and I was learning Oxygen at the time, moved to Bricks at that point. Oxygen's still an excellent builder and does it the same correct way. But Kevin Geary at geary.co, you can see on his Page Building 101 page a description of this course. It's actually a free course on YouTube. You can join his email list, which I would recommend. He puts out some great training and information. But if you go to YouTube and find the Kevin Geary page, it's called Kevin Geary, there is a playlist right here under playlists. There's one called Page Building 101. I would highly recommend.
What is up, my friends? Welcome.
If only just to wrap your mind around why you might consider moving from your page builder that you've already started to learn and master and adding a page builder like Bricks as an option in your software arsenal. And the main thing is semantic HTML, faster loading, less bloat, and you can create basically anything you want without difficulty. That introduces a tiny bit of a problem compared to all these layout packs available inside of Divi. This does save me a lot of time, but with Bricks and the Bricks Builder, there are fewer pre-designed layouts available. However, you can use something like Frames, which is made by Kevin Geary, an add-on for Bricks that allows you to bring in sections or pages that have already designed and well-designed code behind them so that you can, again, build quickly. And you can build anything from a pre-made design that you might be able to find. In fact, I was looking around and just asking ChatGPT here about where to find designs that I could use for inspiration or even to practice learning how to build from scratch. And so if I look at this chat right here, I asked, I'm looking for well-designed examples of web pages and landing pages and homepage designs to pull ideas from. So what are the best resources? Here's a nice list. Dribbble with 3 Bs. Behance is Adobe's portfolio platform. Awards with a triple W. Of course, Pinterest has design boards that show web design inspiration. There's a lot right here, and you can browse any of these to find design inspiration, or go and just find even Divi designs. Now, answer me in the comments down below, or leave me a quick message, reply to any of my emails, and let me know, would you like to see any of these Divi pre-designed layout packs redesigned in Bricks so we can compare the two for loading speed and performance? Wouldn't that be neat? Let's take a look at a recent update to the Divi theme. And referring to AI, this is the founder and CEO of Elegant Themes, the producers of Divi. And, he is here to show us what's coming with Divi 5. We are at Divi 4 right now as far as the model number of the Divi software, the version that we're on, and Divi 5 is going to eliminate all of those shortcodes, and it's going to speed up not only the builder speed, it's being rewritten from scratch. It's also going to make it super easy to create your own modules and customize them, as well as keep using the layout packs that are available. And this next section, which you'll see a lot of software companies bringing in, integrations via API to ChatGPT and artificial intelligence to help you with your workflow. And so let's just watch this segment very quickly to give you an idea of what's coming soon, probably within a month, to the Divi Visual Builder as far as using AI or artificial intelligence to help.
In other news, our first version of Divi AI is nearly finished, which will allow you to generate extraordinary images out of thin air and write and improve content with AI while you work in the Visual Builder. I've been having a lot of fun playing with the unfinished version, so I'll close out this video with a time lapse of me testing out some of its features. I hope you find it as exciting as I do, and I'll catch you in the next update.
So he clicked the little AI button. He wants a background image, a close-up photo of vibrant purple tulips. He has to choose the size. 4 choices. He clicked use this image. Awesome. Now that was a custom generated image, so it's by its very nature copyright free. Now he's writing a heading. Give it a prompt. He clicked retry. Now he's got some lorem ipsum text here. He's clicking regenerate with AI. Wow. It knows a bit about the topic at the website, and it wrote him a piece. Talk about how we grow our own flowers on our farm. Generate text. Gave him 2 results to choose from even. Oh, he hit the shorten button. So he wants that text to be shorter, and he clicks use it. You can see how this could really speed up your workflow as far as especially getting a website ready for a client to see. It's always a bit of a bummer when they see placeholder text like lorem ipsum text on their website. And you can charge for this service, copywriting, and use the AI to either speed up your workflow with custom copyright-free images and text, but also you could get a little bit of information from the client and then have AI help you to write and flesh out all that client on the website. And of course, you can get feedback from the client at that point. Here he's choosing 2 brand new images for this image group on this section of the page. Again, completely unique image created from a text prompt with artificial intelligence. Now he's bringing in a pre-designed footer section. He's got a background image that has ice cream, it looks like. So what's he going to do? Use a prompt. Upload a reference image. That's something that I know Adobe's new Firefly can do, and other text-to-image generators aren't doing it. So he's adjusting the percentage that the reference image will influence the new image. Nice, it left him space for text. It's got the topic that he wants, but it made it look very much like the original referenced image. Cool, right? So to wrap up, those are a few of the specific ways that I've been able to achieve these things over here. Let me share my screen again. Now, whoops. If we look at the list of 20, by leveraging all these things and keeping up with the latest stuff that comes out so that I don't get left behind, or I don't have plugins that are old or themes that break a website, I've been able to feel all these ways. Now here in my list, these are really feelings that I get. From 11 to 20, I love having my reference sites and my portfolio sites there in place. So building in professional relationships, establishing credibility within my industry, learning from mentors, and sharing my experiences with others. This is something that happens inside the Leverage WP community. I would encourage you guys to look around in the comments of this video or go to leveragewp.com and click through to the Leverage WP community. Let me show you here as we wrap up. Oops, I want to go to community.leveragewp.com. If you're already a community member, thanks for being here at the live stream. You can just click here to go to the regular home page, and you'll have to log in to get there. But here's a page that if you're not a member, it will let you get to know everything that's inside here. There's already a whole bunch of trainings inside there. There's all the latest with WordPress updates, trending topics that I love to share, as you've learned here on this live stream. You can develop professional connections with others inside the network. You can reach out for support. In fact, you can quick DM me or private message me anytime inside the community, and I'll go and create tutorials for you. It's like having me inside of your business. You have full access to the website, which has groups, courses, live workshops with the replays. And it's like having me in your business. You can ask me specific questions. I'll even research answers on your behalf and give you straight advice on your specific situation. You also get a free hosted website. You noticed over here, this server I maintain for the community has community members' websites. It's like I have created for Talk to a PI over here. Oh, I wanted to go back and just briefly, for this community member, he was able to put up Divi. I did him a favor and I went into his website and I created this site in about 15 minutes from a pre-made layout pack from Divi. If you click the book now, it goes down to a form with a call to action. He already had a Square account. He just wanted something super simple where they could fill out a form to book a call with a private investigator and then click pay now, either this amount or this amount, done. And for now, that is such an easy, fast way for him to have a working online business very, very quickly. Now, the weekly workshops I do every other week or so, and I'm planning $47 more involved workshops. If you're a member of the community, you get those all for free, including the replays. So I have a section inside the community that has all the replays of all the workshops. And then, of course, there's regular updates on the current state of WordPress and best practices and future-proofing tips for your websites, whether you're making sites for clients or whether you're running your own online business on top of WordPress. So for all of these tools, this is the kind of thing that you can get by being a member of the community, and it's just a resource so that you can have me and other members of the community to get in there and help you out immediately when you need it. You would just click join right now, and this brings you to the sign up page, little review of what it's about, and then you can choose for $300 a year, which is $25 a month if you commit to the whole year, or you can go month to month with a $47 a month fee for the membership, and you could cancel at any time. Well, that's it. I'd love to welcome you guys into the Leverage WP community during this temporary enrollment period, only open to new members for the next few days, so that once the batch of new members that have come in get in there, I can help them individually and we won't get overwhelmed with new people not able to get help inside the community. So I hope that I can welcome you inside of the Leverage WP community. I hope you enjoyed me overviewing some of the tools that I use and directing you towards places you could go to leverage the tools that you need inside of your business as well. Well, thanks for being here on the live stream, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.